Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the new Awkward Networker video series I'm doing called Sports Networker. In response to a lot of feedback you all sent me on my Talking Sports podcast, I'm going to start putting together a video series and podcast. I think in the biz they call that simulcasting, I don't know. But it's going to be focused solely on the high level, up to date sports knowledge you need to talk sports in social settings. Whether you're not really into sports or only into a couple of sports, but just want to know what to talk about this week, I'm going to give you everything you need to know to talk sports this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this a weekly or bi weekly video podcast, but definitely leave me comments below and let me know how frequently you want to see this series. And today, my sports beer of the week is Victory Summer Love Ale. It's not a product placement; they're not paying me yet, but I just really love sipping this beer while watching sports. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know your comments, and I look forward to hearing more from you. Okay, let's start with baseball. So we'll start with baseball. Let's start with the American League. If you're new to baseball and you're like, what's the difference between the American League and the National League? All you really need to know is that the American League and the National League are the same, but the American League, their pitchers don't have to bat. It's honestly like the lamest thing in the world. So imagine if at your job, like half the office didn't have to do expense reporting. That's kind of how the NL feels about the AL. Instead of the pitcher batting, the AL has what's called a designated hitter, which is also the sweetest job in the world. You have to work like 15 minutes a day, and all you do is go up to the plate and swing a few times, and you call it a day. Okay, anyway, so baseball, American League, East Division. Let's start there. People in the northeast of this country and probably around the country, all around the country, are pumped to finally see the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry back again. These two leagues love to hate each other, but they haven't really had a strong competition for a little while now. Now they're both the winningest teams in all of baseball and are tied for first. These games are going to be a absolute blast to watch. Also in the East, the Tampa Bay is whatever. They're not that great. They're about even, but who cares? I mean, honestly, they have they have the best weather of the AL East. So whatever. I mean, if you compare yourself to Boston and New York, and you're looking at Tampa Bay weather, it's like who's really winning, who's losing there. Toronto Blue Jays have a losing record, and their weather sucks. So double whammy there. Baltimore is dead last with only 14 wins. I believe they're the worst in all of baseball. They have 14 wins, 31 losses. They're not a good team this year, but Baltimore just hosted the Preakness over the weekend, so they're probably still equally hungover, broke, and muddy, but I'll get to that later. The AL Central, you have the Cleveland Indians, the Detroit Tigers, Minnesota Twins, Kansas City Royals, Chicago White Sox. Pretty much all losing records, and just all around they're not great teams. The AL Central is not a good division. AL West, you have the Houston Astros, who are the top of their division with 29 wins at the time that this is recorded. They won the World Series last year, so the city is still pretty high off of that. Then the Seattle Mariners and the LA Angels and Oakland A's all have winning records, so they're still in contention. The Texas Rangers are dead last with only 18 wins at the time that this was recorded. Okay, on to the National League, i.e. the league where pitchers actually swing the bat. NL East, home of my beloved Phillies, who are neck and neck with the Atlanta Braves at the top of the division, with 26, 27 wins and about 17 losses. The Washington Nationals and the New York Mets are very good teams. They're just a game or two behind the Phillies and Braves. Miami Marlins, they stink. I think the Florida teams overall are just too busy fishing and enjoying otherwise outdoor active lifestyles and don't really care so much about winning baseball. That's what it seems. NL Central is a really, really good division with fun teams to watch. The Milwaukee Brewers are currently on top with 28 wins, again, at the time this is recorded. But the Pittsburgh Pirates are right behind them. I like watching the Pirates. I love their stadium and their fans, which is ironic because they're the same fans that cheer for the Pittsburgh Penguins, which I can't stand the sight of. But, you know, there's hockey and then there's baseball, so I learned to compartmentalize my rivalry and hatred. The NL Central also has the Chicago Cubs, the Los Angeles Cardinals. Both are very good teams with 24 wins at the time this was recorded. And they're both just fun baseball clubs to watch. I enjoy watching the Cardinals. I enjoy watching the Cubs. And the Cincinnati Reds are dead last with 17 wins at the time. NL West. Arizona Diamondbacks, a team I haven't cared about, honestly, since Randy Johnson, is currently at the top of their division with the Colorado Rockies. San Fran Giants and the LA Dodgers both have losing records, which makes me not really care about this division at all. I love watching the Dodgers-Giants duels throughout the year, so if both of them stink, it kind of ruins the whole division for me. San Diego Padres are not playing well. Here's my surprise face. The Padres have never really been all that great. Again, beautiful weather and not that great of a baseball team. So to give you an idea of kind of the timing of baseball and where we are currently, the All-Star game, also known as the middle of the season, isn't until July 17th. So a baseball season has 162 games in a season, and most teams have played around 50 games so far. So that gives you an idea as to where we are in the baseball season. Other talking points. The Washington Nationals called up some kid, Juan Soto. He's now the youngest player in Major League Baseball, so that's something of interest. There's also the LA Angels. They have this 23-year-old pitcher from Japan called Otani. This guy he's mowing batters down. He's an incredible pitcher, but why he's becoming such a celebrity in baseball is because of his bat. Most pitchers in Major League Baseball don't average more than a few hits a year, but this dude is crushing the ball. He has a .321 batting average, a .321 batting average, which is absolutely incredible. If he was lumped in with all of the other non-pitchers' batting averages, he would rank around 10th out of all of the players in the league. It's nuts. And I think he has 6 home runs so far, which is unheard of. A few days ago, he reportedly, again, this guy's name's Otani, he cranked a home run in batting practice that was 513 feet, which is just, the guy's a machine. And there were talks of including him in the home run derby in July, which would be unprecedented. So it's very fun to watch and a great talking point. That's most of it for baseball. Let's talk about football. All right, so let's talk about football. A couple things to talk about. Johnny Manziel signed a contract with the Canadian Football League. Just know that, honestly, because people might be talking about it, but honestly, I have no idea why anyone would care about that. The dude is horrible. He couldn't hack it in the NFL and is so committed to being the bad boy of football, and the media just eats it up for some reason. Look him up. Johnny Manziel, his last name's Manziel. He's basically the Justin Bieber of football, minus the talent and the records and the support of Canadians. He's awful, but people might be talking about him, so just look him up. Other news, so the NFL football is obviously in the off season, so all the other news is going to be very team specific and city specific. So check out your local team or whatever team whatever city you're going to be in. Check out their team because there may be some trades, there may be some other happenings in the off season that may be noteworthy for that city. Beyond that, the classics. Players are getting arrested for dumb stuff. Some of the stuff they're doing that just is mind-boggling. Some of the stuff they're doing is just stuff we all do, but because they're held to a higher standard, they're getting arrested and whatever. J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans continues to be the Mother Teresa of the NFL. He's always giving away his money and time to everything and everyone. So J.J. Watt is like the beloved player, it seems, of the NFL. The world champion Philadelphia Eagles, my Philadelphia Eagles, are discussing their customary champions visit to the White House. Already there's a bunch of players that said they aren't going, which is to be expected. But, of course, it's like anything else. Political sides are drawn, angry tweets are sent, and everyone is once again distracted from the beauty of the sport. So Philadelphia Eagles, that's really what's going on besides all the other trades and everything else. So for the future, Vegas has the New England Patriots as the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year, which is equally unsurprising and frustrating. No, whatever. I'm not even going to get into it. Overall, the NFC has much stronger teams right now than the AFC. I think the NFC, according to Vegas, has 4 of the top 6 teams expected to win the Super Bowl. 4 NFC teams to 2 AFC teams. I think the 2 are the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The other 4 are the Eagles and the Falcons and the Packers and a couple others. But that's really it for the NFL. Definitely look up the local teams that you're in, the local cities that you're in, and check out what they're doing on the off season for trades. All right, so let's talk about basketball. So for the NBA, they are currently in the conference finals round of the playoffs. Let's start with the Western Conference. The Western Conference Finals is between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. Houston Rockets basically have this guy, James Harden. Harden's just an incredible player. He's fun to watch. The Golden State Warriors, they have everybody else. They have Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They have some of the best players in the league are all playing for the Golden State Warriors. So if you're new to basketball, just know the Golden State Warriors right now are the Yankees, basically, of basketball. They have everybody. And if you ever hear the term Splash Brothers, which the media loves to talk about, that's Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, and it's alluding to the fact that they're constantly draining threes, and they're just an incredible team. Right now, the Golden State Warriors, when this was recorded on the 20th of May, are up 2-1 of a best-of-4 series. So that's going to be a fun series to watch. I think everyone thinks Golden State is going to go to the finals. Go to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics just beat my 76ers to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a great series, but Boston's a really good team. They remind me a lot of the Eagles from the NFL season, last NFL season. They're underdogs. They had a lot of injuries that people thought would prohibit them from going anywhere in the playoffs, but they're a really good team. They have a great home record. They have a great fan base, and they're fighters. They're also playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is basically the Cavs are basically LeBron James and a bunch of other people. They're some pretty good players, but the joke around the NBA is that it's just LeBron and a bunch of no names. I think Saturday Night Live even did a spoof on the Cavs, and how all of their players are just a bunch of no names. The Boston Celtics currently lead 2-1, of that best of four series. But with LeBron, you never know. I mean, he could absolutely just go insane and carry that team all the way to the finals. So for this upcoming week, Monday night is the the Cavs and the Celtics, and Tuesday night will be the Golden State Warriors and the Rockets. Wednesday night will be the Celtics and the Cavs again, and then Thursday night will be the Rockets and the Warriors, and then after that it gets to if needed. So Friday night it will be the Cavs and the Celtics if needed. It'll be at Cleveland, and then Saturday it'll be the Rockets versus the Warriors at Golden State, and then Sunday it'll be the Cavs at the Celtics, if that's required. But overall, what you need to know is that from a timing perspective is that the NBA Finals start May 31st, and it'll probably be Golden State, I'd imagine. And then the East could be between the Celtics or the Cavs. I don't really know how that's going to go. I think the Celtics could pull it out, but LeBron, when he gets to this time of year, LeBron can just go off, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cavs in the NBA Finals. And that's pretty much it right now for basketball. All right, so let's talk about hockey now. I love this time of year so much because the NBA and the NHL are both in playoffs at the same time. So the NHL is at the furthest stage of the playoffs. They're also in the semifinal round. This again was recorded the evening of May 20th, and currently the Vegas Golden Knights just beat the Winnipeg Jets to go on to the finals. So the Vegas Golden Knights will be in the Stanley Cup, and we're waiting to see the winner of the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Washington Capitals. So we'll see. I think Tampa Bay Lightning currently leads the series 3-2 over the Washington Capitals. The next game is going to be Monday night at Washington, and that'll be Game 6. So that's going to be a fun game to watch to see if Washington can tie up that series and then have it go back to Tampa Bay for a Game 7. But meanwhile, the Vegas Golden Knights are just sitting around and waiting to see who wins and who they're going to play in the Stanley Cup. Big noteworthy thing here, if you're walking around talking about sports with people and anyone talks about hockey at all, the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be the Cinderella team right now. So the Vegas Golden Knights are in the first year of an expansion team. An expansion team is kind of what you would think. It's a team that didn't exist a year ago. The National Hockey League expanded to allow Vegas to have a team in the NHL. So they created this team out of nothing. It didn't exist, and it was in Vegas. So I think everybody assumed this was kind of like another activity for visitors to come and enjoy. So anytime the Vegas Golden Knights is what they're calling themselves, they figured, well, if anyone's in Vegas, they're going to be cheering for whatever team Vegas is playing. So it was assumed that all of Vegas's home games were going to basically be away games for them and home games for whoever they were playing, because people were going to travel to Vegas to have fun, gamble, and watch their team play hockey. Turns out the Vegas Golden Knights are an incredible team. They came out of nowhere. Marc-Andre Fleury he's an ex Pittsburgh Penguin. He is their goalie, and he's doing an incredible job, so he's fun to watch. But that is a big noteworthy thing if you're talking about sports with people, is that the Vegas Golden Knights, they might be the first expansion team in history to win the Stanley Cup the first year as an expansion team. I believe they are the first team in history to have a winning record as an expansion team. An incredible story, a fun story. They're really just a fun team to watch, again, because they just pulled all these players from other leagues and from other teams, and now they're going to win the Stanley Cup. And with the tragedy that happened not so long ago in Vegas, with the mass shooting, a lot of this is becoming more of a morale story, and it's something that Vegas is talking a lot about, and that the whole sport of hockey and sports overall are really looking at this team saying it would be really cool if they won. But unless you're a Caps fan, a Washington Capitals fan, or a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, you're hoping that all of this, Cinderella story around the Vegas Golden Knights doesn't get in the way of you winning the Stanley Cup. So Monday night, watched Game 6 of Tampa Bay Lightning and Washington Capitals, and watch the Stanley Cup Finals, which are going to be exciting for Vegas and for just any sports lover in general. And that's what's happening with hockey. All right, so golf. An unreal finish in golf this weekend. The AT&T Byron Nelson was happening this weekend, and this guy, Aaron Weiss, won. He's like 21 years old, I think. It was his first PGA Tour win. He's a young guy, young American. He was tied for the lead with Mark Leishman going into the final round today. And then there was a 4-hole rain delay, which caused them to actually have to stop playing for a while. This guy, Weiss, not only was it his first PGA Tour win, but he rolled his final putt on the 18th hole. He rolled in at 8:25 p.m. It was after sunset. He rolled his putt in to win his first PGA Tour championship, which is a really cool story. It's really cool, that it was already sunset and he had to wait so long. And for being so young as he is, everybody kind of thought that rain delay would shatter his nerves a little bit, and he would, maybe not be able to pull through in the end, especially with someone as experienced as Leishman right behind him. But he was able to pull it out, and it was a great win for him. Spieth was kind of in the running as well. His putter hasn't been that great lately, but it was a really great story for him. The place that they were playing was this place called Trinity Forest Golf Club. Also a little noteworthy, it was the first time that they were hosting a PGA Tour round, and there was some golfers that were public about their disdain for the course environment and the way that the course was set up for PGA Tour. Again, haters gonna hate, people are gonna complain, but in the end, this guy Aaron won his first PGA Tour, so that's definitely a noteworthy story if you are talking about sports with people. Is that this guy might actually be a little bit more the real deal. He has been close in past tournaments, and so this is a really cool day for him and a cool day for golf. Okay, finally, horse racing. So the Preakness Stakes happened over the weekend at the Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore. The heavy favorite was a horse called Justify. The horse is very famous for not only winning the Kentucky Derby, but for also being trained by this guy, Bob Baffert, who also trained a whole bunch of horses that went on to win a lot of the stakes and the Belmont Stakes, the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby. This guy Bob Baffert's very well known, and with Justify, the horse, winning the Kentucky Derby, it was a heavy favorite. What was really cool about the Preakness, so Pimlico Racecourse is in Baltimore, and Baltimore, Philly, New York, the whole Northeast was just slammed with constant rain the last 4 or 5 days, it seemed, including Saturday when the Preakness happened. And not only was the racetrack completely muddy, but there was something like, I forget the number, like 23,000, or there was thousands and thousands of people that all came to see the Preakness. And not only were they in the most muddiest of conditions for these people, but they couldn't even see the racetrack because of the fog. The immense fog was so bad, you couldn't actually see the race from many vantage points throughout the race course. So crazy Preakness, all kinds of fun side stories, but the favored horse Justify did win. Justify won the Kentucky Derby, now won the Preakness, so this horse will be racing in the Belmont Stakes, and if this horse Justify wins the Belmont Stakes, then that will be the Triple Crown, and that will be a big thing in horse racing. So that's something to be of note. As far as betting was concerned, Justify was obviously the heavy favorite, but after Justify, it was a horse called Bravazzo, and the show horse, the horse that came in third, was a horse called Tenfold. Horse racing, unless you're really, really into it, you really are only into it for the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes, which all happen around this time and are heavy betting affairs. So betting is really part and parcel to horse racing. That's exactly what horse racing is about. It's about betting. So gambling is definitely a huge part of that versus the rest of the sports, where gambling is an offshoot of that. Horse racing is betting. That's why it's done. So the results of the Preakness had a if you bet a $2 exacta, which means you bet which horse will come in first and which horse will come in second, and you got that right, a $2 bet would win $27 on the Preakness. If you bet $1 on the trifecta, which is you anticipate the first horse, the second horse, and the third horse in that order, a $1 bet would be $148. You would have won. So a lot of people really love watching these races, especially these 3 stakes races for the Triple Crown, as well as to bet on them. So check out the Belmont Stakes. It's coming up. You got to check out to see if Justify does win the Triple Crown, and if Bob Baffert actually gets another Triple Crown, gets the Triple Crown under his belt. And also check out to see if you are into gambling, look at the odds and have some fun with some friends. But that was it for horse racing for the weekend. Okay, so that's it for the Awkward Networkers Sports Networker podcast and video series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative for you and gave you some talking points when talking sports in networking and social settings. Enjoy this upcoming week. We still have a great amount of sports ahead of us, and as you know, obviously this might be a weekly, might be a bi-weekly series. Let me know what you think. Let me know how often you want me to do this, and let me know any other tips or any other sports you'd like me to cover. I'm happy to do it. As you can tell, this isn't in depth. I'm not a sports insider by any imagine, and so all I'm trying to do is give you a little bit of the nuggets that you'll need throughout the week to at least sustain a little bit of a sports related conversation when you're hanging out with people. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I certainly enjoyed my summer love while recording because I'm all out. And enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks.